numbers. They're everywhere! We're number 1, lucky number 7, unlucky number 13, 911, 666, 69, 420, 58008. Type that one in your calculator, kids, and flip it upside down. And of course, Stephen King's personal fave, number 2.
You just dropped a clinker, I heard it.
When you hear the old adage, there's always strength in numbers, it's usually referring to soldiers or protesters or orgy participants. But numbers have a more symbolic power too. They can represent luck or misfortune, good or evil, a fun time in an orgy where you got just the right amount of orgy goers, or a real bummer of a night where there's just way too many people and it's you hanging by the bean dip alone, waiting for your turn with Hank's wife. Numbers play an especially important role with Stephen King in both his life and his work. So, this being a top 5, why don't we get super numerical and count down Stephen Kingdom's top 5 Stephen King numbers. Number 5, 1947. Specifically September 21st, 1947, the day the world got a little scarier, because that's the day Stephen Edwin King was born in Portland, Maine. And what kind of world was baby Steve born screaming into? Let's set the scene. Post-war America, filled with optimism, but also uncertainty. World War II had ended just 2 years earlier, and everyone was trying to settle back into normal life. And they would have were it not for the Cold War heating up. TV was still in its infancy, radio dramas ruled the airwaves, and horror fiction was dominated by the likes of H.P. Lovecraft and Ray Bradbury, 2 authors King would very much come to emulate as a writer himself. And it can't be a coincidence that 1947 was also the year of the infamous UFO crash at Roswell, New Mexico, July 8th to be exact. So, aliens crash land in New Mexico in 1947, the government covers it up, and just 2 months later, Stephen King just happens to be born? Now, I'm not saying Stephen King is an alien, but answer me this. Have you ever seen Stephen King and an alien in the same room at the same time?
Is such a thing even possible? Yes, it is.
Number 4, 400 million. That's the estimated and ever-growing number of copies Stephen King's books have sold worldwide. That is almost 500 million. That's like if every single person in the United States bought at least one Stephen King book and then went back for seconds. But let's break that number down. King has published over 65 novels, and counting, and 200 short stories and novellas, and counting, and has been translated into over 50 languages, and counting. I'm still waiting on my Huttese translation of Dreamcatcher. Number 3, 50 plus. If you thought Happily Ever After didn't exist, let me introduce you to Stephen and Tabitha King. These 2 kids have been married for over 50 years. That's the equivalent of over 7 Kim and Kanye's, 100 Benefers, 120 Drew Barrymore Tom Greens, 2,029 Carmen Electra Dennis Rodmans, and roughly 1,660 Scaramucci's.
You were coming across a little bit elitist.
Stephen and Tabby met in college and have been together ever since, raising 3 children. If you'd like to know the gooey details of their meet-cute, check out our video about it on the top right. But Tabitha is more than just Stephen King's wife. She's one of his most important creative influences. It was she who rescued Carrie from the trash when King had given up on it, urging him to finish the book that would launch his career. Without Tabitha, Stephen King himself has admitted he might never have become a published novelist at all. And if you'd like to know the gooey details on that whole story, check out our video on the publishing of Carrie at the top right. Over the years, King has dedicated numerous books to Tabby, often crediting her with keeping him grounded and pushing him to be his best.
He has something that, frankly, I don't have, and it's embarrassing to me to admit it to you on a live television show.
Number 2, 237, 217. All right, Shining fans, this one's for you. One of them is from the book, one is from the movie, and both of them will make you think twice about staying in a hotel. Well, that and sweeping a blacklight over the sheets just before bedtime. If those walls could talk. In the Shining novel, the haunted room in the Overlook Hotel is room 217, but when Stanley Kubrick adapted the book into his iconic 1980 film, he changed it to room 237. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. Because the real-life Timberline Lodge, which served as the exterior for the Overlook, asked Kubrick nicely to switch the numbers so that guests wouldn't be too scared to stay in room 217. The joke ended up being on them, though, because now people specifically request that room. King has famously expressed his distaste for Kubrick's version of The Shining, feeling that it strayed too far from the heart of his novel.
I feel as though I'd given Stanley Kubrick a live grenade and he heroically threw his body on it.
The film made significant changes to the characters and themes, shifting the focus from Jack Torrance's internal struggles to a more ambiguous supernatural horror. This led King to reclaim his vision with Dr. Sleep, his sequel to The Shining, where Room 217 returns as a nod to the original book. Beyond The Shining, the number 237 has taken on a life of its own in pop culture, appearing in other films, TV shows, and even conspiracy theories about Kubrick's supposed involvement in faking the moon landing. It even pops up all over the Toy Story films, which, if you're interested, you could learn all about by clicking at the top right. Geez, with all that horror history surrounding the numbers 237 and 217, the only number that even comes close to it is that dreaded phone number from hell.
1877 cars for kids.
Number 1, 19. If you're a Dark Tower fan, you already know why 19 is such a big deal. But if you're not, let me explain why this number is basically the spine of King's entire multiverse. The number 19 shows up everywhere in the Dark Tower series. Passwords, dates, character names. It's a magical, mystical, possibly even malevolent number that ties all realities together. King has never explicitly stated why he fixates on it, but numerologists have pointed out that 19 has historically been considered an ominous, even cursed number. In tarot, for example, the 19th card represents the sun, a symbol of both enlightenment and destruction. But the number 19 doesn't just permeate King's fiction, it also happens to be a number that plays a major role in King's real life. On June 19th, 1999, Stephen King was hit by a van while taking his usual afternoon walk near his home in Maine. The accident was near fatal, and it took months of surgeries and painful rehab for him to recover. And at one point, he was even ready to retire from writing altogether, leaving some fans worried he'd never complete his Dark Tower series. But because he's Stephen King, he worked the experience into his stories, even having Roland Deschain, the gunslinger himself, reference King's accident in the Dark Tower. Very meta, baby, yeah. Oh! And there you have it, the Stephen Kingdom's top 5 Stephen King numbers. Stephen King's universe is chock full of numbers that haunt, help, and sometimes hit way too close to home. But after digging through all this horror, symbolism, and supernatural math, plus 12 too many prunes for second breakfast, there's really only one number that concerns me right now, and that's number 2. If you like what we're doing over here at the Stephen Kingdom and would like to show us a little monetary love, our Patreon has all sorts of exclusive goodies for our supporters, including extended and deleted scenes, behind-the-scenes featurettes, early access to episodes, and your name in the end credits. Be sure to subscribe to the Stephen Kingdom channel here, and check out our past top 5 episodes here. Long days and pleasant nights, Constant Watchers.